Hello everyone, and let's take this trip down memory lane where we can review who was the best survivor in Evil Dead the game.
Absolutely. As long as we're going down memory lane.
Oh, sure. We can reminisce later.
No. Memory lane. The titty bar.
Oh,
Remember?
memory lane.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, they got great lighting.
We are gonna do it off the top of my head, who I remember being the best survivor in Evil Dead the game. And we're starting with Amanda. Amanda was never really a favorite of me. She was a one-trick type of hunter character that you would play where she had infinite ammo ability, and that worked the best by having extra damage by, you know, having one bullet in a magazine. So that led to you using a blunderbuss. But having said that, it was extremely strong and powerful, and yeah, she's going in A tier immediately. She was a really good survivor to play. She's a good hunter. She had a good ability. So yeah, she definitely belongs there. Now let's move along to David. David, unfortunately, is a C tier character. David released, he has this fear mechanic where he puts down the campfire. Oh, you know, something along those lines. I forgot the name of it. But he puts down the campfire, and I believe when he drank a Shemps, he also gave a damage reduction buff, which, you know, was kind of nice. He also, every time he put down the fire, it would cause the demon to cost a little bit more for its possession, and it would drain the demon's energy a little bit. So, although he's sounding good here, moving on to his ranged weapon mastery, which was the nail gun. What a waste of an ability, unfortunately. But, you know, it's a shame. I think David had some good potential there. He's a fun character to play, but he is in C tier, unfortunately. He could have been so much better. Mia is a B tier character. She has weapon mastery on the machete. The fear mechanic on Mia, though, was horrible to do. So basically, if you did more, you had more fear on Mia, or Maya, as Tim Willis would like to call her. If you had the high fear on her, she would actually deal more damage, which was nice. However, she had a machete mastery, so that made her very easy to possess. So she had a legendary machete. She was swinging that shit like crazy. Extra damage, faster attack speed, buffed up with pink fuck, having even more faster attack speed. You can see where I'm going here. Unfortunately, we had a lot of random Mias back in the day that would wipe the team out when they got possessed, because they say literally saw that Mia had the machete mastery and thought, okay, all I need to use is a machete with this character and I'm gonna do well. Well, never quite worked out that way. Not taking away from the character herself, I think that she has potential. Use things like the lumberjack axe, of course, the best weapon in the game. If anyone wants to fight me on that, I will fight you right now. Any demon out there, bring it. I'll play Army of Darkness Ash with a lumberjack axe. I will kick your ass 1v1. But Mia, unfortunately, just didn't quite hit the heights that she could have. So yeah, it's a shame. Hunter Ash, S tier immediately. Possibly the best survivor in the game that we have for Evil Dead. Now, saying that, and you guys probably expecting a reason behind that. This is a character where I could speedrun the game with. The only character in the game, maybe is Lead Ash, but this guy was rapid. Like, you could sprint into a car at the start, get all the map pieces. You didn't have to mess around getting items so much. You didn't have to really get pink fuck upgrades so much. You could just get them where you got the map pieces. And the reason I'm saying that is because he had his unpossession ability. He could unpossess the demons if they did come towards him. Not to mention he's a hunter, he's agile, he moves fast, he spawns with a double barrel shotgun as well, which is his mastery weapon. Everything just adds up to this guy being easily the best survivor in the game. And yeah, the double barrel is no laughing matter here. The double barrel hit hard on the balance bars, hit hard with damage. And being a hunter as well, you could spam a lot of iframes. You didn't have to do finishes, you just had to do the animations as well that you could do during combat. You know, when it highlighted white, you could just press that. You could just infinitely spam that, not take any damage with this guy. With it being a hunter as well, a lot of dodges too. And as I said, as you're going, you can also spot crates as well, making his life so much easier if he is running low on pink fuck to get some pink fuck upgrades when he's collecting the map pieces. Nobody does it better than Evil Dead 2 Ash in this game. Moving on to Ed Getley. This dude is a fucking meme, okay? He's always been the massive meme in this community. It's the same voice actor as Jeff in Marvel Rivals. That's how much of a meme this character is. The thing with Ed was his crossbow mastery, and then another thing was potentially spawning better loot crates, okay? And him being a hunter as well. It's just... I'm just looking at his icon on the screen right now, and it just screams fucking meme material. And you know, I think Ed had his potential there, especially with the crossbow mastery. And, you know, he had his moments, but a character based on RNG and making him good, no, it doesn't belong any higher than C tier. Despite his damage output being a hunter, and loads of people sit here and say, any hunter in this game should be an A tier because of their dodges and stuff. Not really the case anymore, especially with Ball existing. And I haven't played this game in a long time, but I'm pretty sure it's probably still the same thing right now, where even as a hunter, you're going to get possessed really quick. And it'll happen with Ed. And when you get possessed with Ed, you know, hunters being possessed is not a good thing because they don't have a ton of HP, so they lose a lot of HP coming out of that possession. Then they're going to waste shemps on themselves, putting them back up to hell. Hunters are overrated in this game despite their range damage. They require sustainable ammo, they require low fear levels, they require a good amount of healing, and to hit their dodges on point. But with the game the way it was when I last played, you couldn't really hit the dodges that well because there was so many traps being put down by the likes of Ball, and just with, you know, general hitbox lag and stuff like that that could happen as well. So yeah, C tier. Kelly, I think Kelly's better than Ed. I think Kelly belongs in B tier, mainly because Kelly has a melee weapon mastery, and that is a big deal on a hunter. Despite it just being the meat hammer, as I mentioned before, when you are playing Hunter Ash, you can actually spam those iframes, and you can spam them so much faster with Kelly because you can actually build into doing a little bit of extra melee damage with her. And what you got to realize in this game was that there was a lot of hidden debuffs, so you would do like minus 75% melee damage if you played a hunter character who was spec'd into range. However, you would do more range damage, and Leader was the only one that didn't have any buffs or debuffs around that type of thing. So hunters, unfortunately, didn't do great on the melee side of things. That's why Kelly is really good for that. And not to mention, when she does her range damage, she also has the high bleed damage effect there as well. So she works really well with the likes of a boomstick, a hunting rifle. I'm always favored to go with a hunting rifle with Kelly, honestly, more than anything in the game. So yeah, B tier for her. Like I said, I think she's really good for that. You know, bleed damage, melee damage, spamming iframes. She's got some really good survivability. The infinite dodge being there as well. I actually forgot to mention Ed Getley's ability, which was when you turned on your flashlight, you could disable demon traps. Now that was relatively strong. However, like I said, with the likes of Baal, there was, you know, nothing to really worry about, to be honest, because you could just deal with it. And you could put your traps down regardless of it half the time and anyway. So yeah. Moving back on to Kelly, like I said, the ability of being able to infinitely spam dodges. Even through the storm, I have made so many plays where I've been trapped inside the castle on Castle Kandar as Kelly, and I've had to get around the castle wall back to the Dark Ones. I've only been able to manage this because of Kelly and being able to infinitely dodge through the storm, not taking any damage and getting to where I want to be. Really good plays with Kelly and an enjoyable character in this game. Annie's gonna go in B tier. I don't really like Annie, honestly. She's balance bar heavy. Doesn't really come into effect if you're playing against the likes of a Henrietta that much. But, you know, balance bars are really good for infinitely stunning targets, so that's why she's in B tier. I'm not putting her any lower than that. I don't think that's fair, just because she has the balance bar buffs going on there. And she is a leader, of course. You know, they can always help out with a lot of things, but, you know, balance bar damage is about right for her. And we have El Jefe, Leader Ash. Leader Ash is A tier. It's way better than Annie, in my opinion. He's not the best leader in the game, but he offers some really good fear debuffs. He offers some really good fear damage buffs overall as well. You know, a lot of, well, I say fear debuffs. Fear resistance, I suppose. You can spam finishes with this guy, constantly buffing up your team. Another character that is a character that I can speedrun with as well. Not as fast as Hunter Ash, but going solo, you can handle yourself with Leader Ash, no problem, with the right build. I have builds on my channel for people who still play Evil Dead the game. You can go back, rewatch those builds. They're still good. I promise you that. I have literally some of the best Leader Ash builds out there. Now, going back to the character, I've got him Prestige 5, building into, you know, having the fear resistance there. Spawning with the chainsaw, of course, him being Ash. Easily one of the most fun leaders to play in the game. And you guys will have a blast playing as him. And I think he belongs in A tier. And he might have a mid ability. You know, you might be sitting there thinking, oh, okay, well, you know, he's only got the ability to damage balance bars and knock enemies back. But as basic as it is, it works. It does its job, and it allows him to be solo a lot of the time. Doing a Leader Ash build with the speedrun perks of speeding up objective times, really good, honestly. Underrated. Now, moving on to Lord Arthur. Begone, Deadite scum! It's going into C tier, unfortunately. In the beta, Lord Arthur was really good because you could keep your damage buff going up. Despite the melee damage buffs and everything that he has going on in his kit, and being able to kind of infinitely keep his ability up as long as he can do a finisher, it kind of leaves him counteracting himself and doing more damage because most of the time you didn't want to go past like a blue sword because of the enemy's health. It depends who you went up against, of course. If you're playing against an Elagos, though, unfortunately, if you had a legendary sword with Lord Arthur, you're pretty much going to one or two shot things. While that might sound good on paper, it's very counterintuitive to the character because he needs finishes to keep his ability going, which is damage buffs and giving people more damage buffs. By base, he does give out damage buffs for melee attacks, but his ability is really the key thing here for him, and he has some really cool effects when he does his ability, honestly. Some of the nicest effects I've seen on a character in this game. Although he's fun, you can do things with him. I don't think he's really going to be any S tier material at all, ever. He can't be really brought up to a B tier standard either, unfortunately, just because he only buffs up melee damage. At least Leader Ash, he buffs up range and melee damage. He only buffs up melee damage, unfortunately. So while that can be good from the hunter side of things, because hunters do have a negative melee damage debuff going on there, it's not really particularly great in terms of survivability. He works well with a warrior team, but that's it, really, unfortunately, for Lord Arthur. And moving on to Support Ash. Support Ash is instantly S tier, the only healer in the game, I think. Maybe Cheryl, we can talk about that. The only healer in the game that can actually just heal by attacking and not requiring shemps, and this is why he is S tier immediately. You get a legendary lumberjack axe on this guy, you won't have to worry about anything. You won't have to worry about shemps. Maybe he's one or two shemps. Just swinging heavy attacks with this dude with the right build will save your team. Putting final hit damage up there will put everybody back up to full HP just by doing heavy damage. And the key thing about this game you've got to remember was the book phase, and every other healer struggled at the book phase apart from Cheryl, Mebies, and Support Ash. And the main reason being was because Support Ash could help in and chip in with the damage, doing some good damage numbers, healing the team at the same time while protecting the Necronomicon. Not to mention his ability to decrease your teammates' fear levels as well. Doesn't really work that well against Baal, to be honest, but still a good ability to have nonetheless, and that is why he's in S tier, mainly because of his heavy attack damage, being able to heal allies nearby. Now, moving on to Cheryl. Cheryl is going to go in high A tier. I think she's pretty good in the game. However, although she can carry a lot of shemps, and she can put down the healing area, of course, can't quite match what support Ash can do. And she's a very easy healer to play. Like I said, you just put in the shemps there. But, you know, she's has to rely on those shemps. You know, she has to rely on finding shemps, despite her having an ability that can heal team. The annoying thing is, even if you put your healing down, your teammates aren't paying attention, they just fucking walk out of the radius, they aren't gonna get healed. You know, and that is why Cheryl won't be S tier for me, just because of that. Moving on to Pablito. Pablito, I do like Pablo. He's gonna probably be a low A tier character. Main reason being is because he can get a lot of amulets going on. And any character that can, you know, regenerate resources for themselves belongs in A tier, in my opinion. With the game heavily relying on finding stuff in the game, RNG based. If you've got bad RNG, at least with Pablo, and people might be thinking, oh man, only amulets. Well, yeah, but being able to craft his own amulets and carry like 8 of the suckers and throw them down for the warriors there so they can get double bounds, double extra shields going on, it's great. And he can shield everybody else as well around him. Of course, Cheryl can do that, but Pablo can do it better. And the main reason, like I said, with him being in A tier is being able to just craft the amulets. And it's a big deal. If you're, for example, if you're running a leader Ash, you're running a Pablo, and you're running, you know, maybe it's 2 warriors. The 2 warriors for each amulet will get double shields. And if you're playing warrior, you should have your shields buffed up a little bit as well, which is much better. And unfortunately, it doesn't reflect on the scoreboard because you can never see shields given or anything like that. Being able to throw out those amulets and protect your warriors really well with this guy is why he is in A tier. Now, moving on to Army of Darkness Ash. Army of Darkness Ash, I am going to put in S tier. He was my main back in the day, of course. Sort of. Him and Leader Ash. I definitely had the most time on Army of Darkness Ash, though. Not gonna lie. And again, another character that can drink his potion with his ability and regain his own HP, bring his fear levels down. When you're drinking the potion, you also get a damage buff as well. I think he's the best warrior in the game. Despite what people might say about Scotty being the best warrior in the game, Scotty is trash unless he has a lumberjack axe. That's all I'm gonna say. He's not that good if he hasn't got a lumberjack axe. However, Army of Darkness Ash can work with any weapon that you find, because you'll just get a flat out damage buff across all those weapons with his potion as well. And once you've got him Prestige 5, you can spam the cooldown on the potion so much faster as well, to the point where you can drink it almost every 100 seconds, I think it is. I can't remember, but you do get a good amount of time to drink the potion with Army of Darkness Ash, which allows you to output a lot of damage. Now, he does have Chainsaw Mastery. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work that well with him. He doesn't spawn in with a chainsaw like Leader Ash does, but it can be fun to do a one-handed build with Army of Darkness Ash. But in the grand scheme of things, I will always outdamage a Scotty. Even if we both have lumberjack axes, I will outdamage a Scotty almost all the time. Mainly because this guy has damage reduction, damage buff, and healing going on in that one potion drink, and it can really help out there. So now moving on to Henry the Red. Henry the Red's gonna beat ya. And the reason he's gonna beat ya is he's just a tank. You know, that's it. He doesn't offer really much extra damage output. He can take a lot of damage, obviously. He is definitely the main tank in the game for that. He also has an ability that just makes him invulnerable, but he can get possessed. But, you know, he can still pick up people for free, basically, there, which helps the team out massively. However, you know, there's no real weapon mastery buffs going on here. He can just have, like, an extra shield as well. Can work well with Pablo, for example, but ultimately, you know, he's not that great as well. Going back about Army of Darkness Ash, because I just remembered something of why else he's in S tier, is he can regenerate shield by doing finishes as well. So that is another reason why he is better than Scotty. Now, moving on to Scotty. Scotty is in A tier. He has the Lumberjack Axe Mastery. Of course, best weapon in the game. You would think, let's put him in S tier for that. Not necessarily. His ability is really lacking. That's what brings him down. If he had an ability sort of similar to Army of Darkness Ash, maybe he did a little bit extra damage instead. of doing all the other things, probably would have been fine, but he just has an explosion ability which really brings him down, and the main thing that shines on him is the lumberjack axe mastery. Not everybody else really cares about the rest of the abilities when playing this character, so if you are going to play Scotty, you're kind of one-tricking yourself there, just like Amanda with a blunderbuss, really. And that's why he's an A tier, unfortunately. I mean, the good thing is he can do splash damage when he does heavy attacks as well. So I suppose you could care about that ability. But ultimately, I think he still falls short on Army of Darkness Ash's damage there. The amount of times I've gone head-to-head with a Scotty, I've always won with Army of Darkness Ash. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. Not saying Scotty's trash by any means, but Army of Darkness Ash is just way better. Blacksmith, D tier. All right, Ruby. Ruby's going into S tier because Ruby is, you know, a broken character. Ruby come out and, you know, she can't really get possessed because she has such a high fear threshold, which is great. She offers so much damage buffs as well. So her ability, the way it works is you collect souls from the deadites and just souls lying around the map and things. You collect those and you'll basically, the more you have, the more damage buffs you're given, the more fear resistance you're given. You know, all that stuff that goes along with playing Ruby is great. And then you can also charge that up to, you know, once you do have that maximum, you can activate this ability, and then you can collect even more souls as the battle's going on, and then let out a big wave that'll deal damage and heal your allies as well. So Ruby buffing up all the damage there does require a lot of pink fuck in order to get it all to work, though. Still makes her one of the best characters in the game because she does decrease cooldowns for the teammates' abilities as well. So if she works with Army of Darkness Ash, Support Ash, Hunter Ash as well, you know, their cooldowns are going to be a lot quicker on their abilities. So Ruby and Hunter Ash together, it's a devastating combination because they can constantly spam the unpossession a lot more frequently. Now, I will go back to Blacksmith because I was just doing a little bit of a joke there. Blacksmith is in D tier, easily the worst fucking support in the game. I don't care what anybody says. I had people in my old tier list videos saying, oh, Blacksmith, D tier, minimum B tier character. Are you fucking serious? This guy only has one thing going for him, is he can craft weapons. However, that is massively RNG focused, and you know, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna craft a fucking useless hunting rifle. You can't even pick up a ranged weapon with this guy, by the way, so your animation canceling of heavy attacks has gone out the window. And he requires scraps. And there's some maps where you can get a lot of scraps and you can craft more weapons that way and build up to a legendary weapon. Ooh, a legendary meat cleaver could throw out onto the floor, and that's game changing right there. The amount of times I've played this dude though, and while he does offer a little bit extra damage boost when he's popping a shield, etc., I don't really think it's worth it, honestly. D tier easily. Why people think RNG characters are good in this game? You're delusional, you really are. Not saying you can't win with Blacksmith by any means, by the way. I could probably play Blacksmith right now and get a win. You know, the same goes for pretty much every other character in this game. However, I'll have a lot harder job than I would be playing Support Ash or Cheryl. Or, you know, David. I think David's a better support than fucking Blacksmith. Mainly because you're limited to a melee weapon. It's stupid. It's stupid to think that this guy is B tier. Whoever thinks that, uninstall the game. Don't play it anymore. What are you doing? I'm joking. Okay, calm down. Alright. Name's Brock Williams, but you can call me Cock. Brock's going in S tier. Nah, I don't know about Brock. Brock obviously was S tier at some point because the developers randomly nerfed him for some reason. I think Brock is probably... Nah, I think he's about there, I would say. He can carry a lot of extra shams, extra ammo for people. He looks like Yoda running around, especially when he's got the scythe. I don't know why. He just reminds me of Master Yoda a lot. And he's got an ability that makes him invulnerable. Well, he can take the damage, but he can't get stunned, so he can get free pickups on people, but he will still take that damage. It's not really an inspiring ability, to be honest, and yeah, it's not he doesn't really offer much else, to be honest, compared to all the other leaders. I think he does everything just so much better. And despite being able to carry extra stuff, he's basically a pack rat for the team. You can carry loads of extra shems and extra ammo for people, but other than that, it doesn't really offer anything else. But yeah, that has been my best survivor tier list video for Evil Dead the game. We took a big old trip down memory lane. I'm actually surprised I remembered most of this off the top of my head. I swear I didn't load the game up one time, despite me cutting some things out. I had to sit and think back sometimes of like, what was Henry the Red's ability again? But I swear I didn't even load this game up. I haven't loaded this game up in months, but yeah, I think it's still I think that is exactly the same tier list, or almost as close as my first one that I did, or the last one that I did when Ruby came out. I think the top 4 is still the same in S tier, but I could be wrong. I'll have to go back and check. But if you like this video, you know, taking a trip down memory lane, it's always fun, you know, checking out and talking about some Evil Dead stuff, despite the game being delisted and people can't really play it anymore. I mean, you can still play it if you own the game, but it's a shame. You know, the game was fun. I wanted to do a video on it. I haven't done a video on Evil Dead the game in a long time. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the tier list. Where would you put Blacksmith? Tell me so I can beat your ass. Please tell me. But anyways, I'm going to end the video there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Pixelz, my awesome views. I'll catch you guys in the next one.